Is it normal to regret your birth? All feelings are valid. So if you regret your birth, I think that's valid. However, I would want to add a perspective onto that. Maybe you regret your birth because of the things that happened in your birth. However, were you properly informed during your pregnancy, labor, and birth to make the decisions that were best for you? I'm going to bet that you weren't. And so, really, that regret is misplaced, because I also feel like when it comes to regret and blame for yourself are tied together. So while you may regret your birth, you probably also blame yourself for some of the things that happened or decisions you've made. However, I think that you probably weren't as informed as you should have been, and that's why some of the things happened during your birth. Whatever they might be, you can share them in the comments if you like. This is what happened to me in my first birth, and this is the most common series of events that women have told me about that I've worked with, that this is what's happened. And they come to me because they either regret their birth or they feel guilty or shame or blame around about themselves around this birth. Until we have this conversation and I tell them about this series of events, and it makes them think differently. So that's what I want to share with you, because maybe this is also you. You've had a fine pregnancy. Pregnancy's been good. You went to all of your antenatal appointments at the children's center or wherever they were held. Maybe you even paid for some private ones or NCT ones. You've done all those things. Your water breaks at home. So you're like, it's time to go into the hospital. You go into the hospital and you're laboring for some time. And then they say to you that it's been some time now. We will offer you an induction. And then you've said yes. Okay, because you also want to speed up this labor and you want to speed up the time. You say yes. Now, at that point, when they said offering you the induction, did they say to you that having an induction increases your chances of having a C-section? Were you given that bit of information there? Most likely not. Had you had that information, would you maybe have made a different decision? Maybe. So there, you weren't completely informed at that point. And I can even say, even before this part, when you were laboring, were the lights down low? Were you walking around? Were you doing biometrics, just different movements to help baby come down? Were you doing that kind of thing? Were you eating? Were you drinking? Did you have music that you had playing that would help to soothe you? Did you have any of these things? All of these things support you in bringing baby down and out. Were you informed about those things, and were you given the space to do those things? Or were you just on the bed? Just something to think about. Those are things that you should be supported to do to help you to birth your baby. Did those things happen? What was the vibe like during the birth? What were your medical team like? Were they nice? Were they kind? Did you feel safe and supported? Because if you don't feel safe and supported, your body won't labor. And this is primal. This is how we're made. This is how we're supposed to be. Because back in the day, women would have gone into a cave. The men would stand on the outside. They would protect against wild animals. You would birth in the dark with female support around you. But should there be a lion or a tiger, then you need to be able to get up and move. So when something is not safe, everything can stop so that you can get up and move. That's how we were built. So we don't have the lions and tigers now, but what we do have is feeling unsupported, feeling scared, not informed, bright lights, smells, sounds that we don't like, that we may not like, and so the body will stop to laboring. So what was your environment and what were the people like? You've had this induction now. What's now happening is that they're telling you that baby's getting distressed, or you're getting distressed, baby's heart rate has dropped, and then you get rushed to a C-section. So now if you just think about the things that I have said that could have happened through your labor, and maybe some of the reasons why you made some of the decisions that you made, because, for whatever reason, you see how you're not to blame. You made the best decisions that you could in the situation that you were in. But were you given enough support enough information for all of your decisions to have been informed? Was your environment the way that it should have been? Were you treated the way that you should have been? Because these are the things that shape our decisions. So though you may have birth regret, if you was to really break down your birth and why things happened when, what you will find is that you made the best decisions with the information that you had. And the information that you had was probably not a lot. I've had women that have said, the consultant has said, if you don't have your baby by 11 o'clock, we have to take you for a C-section. Well, what's going to happen at 11 o'clock? And is that really true? Why a cutoff for the labour? And so you make decisions based upon this type of information. Because if you are fine and if baby is fine, why a cutoff time? And if you don't know any better, you can only do what you can do based on the information that you have. There is a maternity culture that you also are up against when you go in to have a baby into the hospital, which a lot of mums don't know about. That there are policies and procedures and rules that they will follow. I watched a podcast once of a midwife who said when she would go on to shift, they have all the names of the women on a board, how many weeks they are, where they're at in their process. And they would look at the board and they would say, and then they would have their debrief or handover, they call it. And they would say, who can we get to have a C-section today? Who can we push to have a C-section? And she said, these are the words from the midwife. I'm paraphrasing, but this is what she said, is that you know the women who push to have an induction or have a C-section, the ones that you can. You know the ones who are and the ones that are not. So did you know that that kind of stuff was happening in the maternity system as well? That that's something that you would have to contend with as well? And they do this just because they need the beds, that they need to move the women through. So did you know that you could be even offered an induction or a C-section, not because it's what's best for you, but it's because it's what's best for them? So when you think about regretting your birth or maybe regretting some of the decisions that you've made, you know that that's just not on you alone. There are systemic things that are happening also that put you into making certain decisions or making it feel like you don't have a choice. I mean, that's one of the biggest ones, really. Did you even know you had a choice? As I said right at the beginning, all feelings and emotions are valid. However you feel is valid. I would just want to make sure that you're not being too hard on yourself and that you've really thought about it, because regret is heavy on your body and your mind and your energy. And I feel like you don't deserve to be carrying that type of heaviness for bringing your baby into the world. Because also remember, your baby loves you no matter how they came into this world. Do give the video a like if this was helpful and interesting to you. Do share with another C-section mom who may be feeling this way. And please subscribe to the channel so that I can spread the word far and wide that C-section is not just physical, it's emotional, energetic, and spiritual. And I'll see you in the next one.